The Second Amendment is of great significance to American politics. The Second Amendment is regarded as the basis of America's notorious gun rights. Gun rights is an extremely controversial issue in the USA due to frequent mass shootings that result from relaxed gun laws. The Second Amendment serves as the primary justification of these relaxed gun laws. The Second Amendment states that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Supposedly, the Second Amendment justifies extremely relaxed gun laws. Supposedly, the Second Amendment makes the restriction and regulation of gun ownership unconstitutional. This is a widespread interpretation. Yet this interpretation has some serious flaws. For one, the text of the Second Amendment literally has the words "well-regulated" in it. How is a regulation and a restriction unconstitutional when the Constitution literally has the words "well-regulated" in it? Sure, it later says that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, but the context in which it says that is made very clear. It is talking about a well-regulated militia. It makes it very clear that this is the context to which the following sentence relates. It is not talking about unrestricted individuals, it is talking about a well-regulated militia. The document makes it very clear that this is the context within which gun rights exist. It is pretty obvious to me that gun rights are not unlimited rights for individuals, but as the Constitution states, the rights of a well-regulated militia. Yet everyone seems fixated on just a handful of words. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Everyone wants to repeat those words without mention of the words that precede them and give them context. And let's take a moment to consider these words. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So you want to pretend that this is all the Second Amendment says. So you want to ignore the rest of the Second Amendment. So you believe the right to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. Let's take a moment to think about the logical conclusions of that. Should individuals be allowed to purchase weapons of mass destruction? Chemical weapons, biological weapons, nuclear weapons? If the right to keep and bear arms should not be infringed, why should I not be allowed to own a nuclear howitzer? Why should I not be allowed to have a nuclear mortar mounted on my porch? Why should I not be allowed to have a nuclear missile launch silo in my backyard? It is a serious question. If the right to keep and bear arms should not be infringed, surely I should be allowed these things. Surely I should at the very least be allowed a multiple rocket launch system. This is the logical conclusion of the idea that the right to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. If individuals are not allowed to own nuclear weapons, their right to keep and bear arms is being infringed. This interpretation of the Second Amendment has ridiculous logical conclusions. Logical conclusions that no sane person would be okay with. If taken to a logical conclusion, this argument is extremely ridiculous. The need for a license or a permit is an infringement. Barring prisoners from accessing guns is an infringement on the right to keep and bear arms. Banning guns from certain places is an infringement on the right to keep and bear arms. The right to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. That is what some people will tell you. The logical conclusions of this view are beyond ridiculous. Nobody believes in this argument. Nobody actually believes that the right to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. Because if you did, you would be arguing for open access to nuclear weapons and prisoner access to firearms. These are the ridiculous logical conclusions of this interpretation. The Second Amendment does not provide a serious justification for relaxed gun laws. And even if it did, the logical conclusions would be so devastating that the Second Amendment would have to be thrown out immediately. Arguments against gun law reform that are based on the Second Amendment are incoherent nonsense. Sensible gun law reform is needed. Reform that balances safety and freedom. Some insist that guns don't kill people, people kill people. The real issue is mental health. This is largely true. By the time someone wants to murder someone, something has already gone terribly wrong. But guns are force amplifiers. Guns can make a relatively small issue a very big issue. And that makes them an issue. Guns easily amplify existing societal issues. And for this reason, they do constitute a serious problem. I do not believe in overly harsh gun laws. I do not believe in dysfunctional gun laws written by out-of-touch political elites. But I do believe in common sense gun reform and a logical reading of the Second Amendment.